Hey everybody, and welcome back to another fun and exciting intermediate math class. In today's lesson, we're going to be jumping into chapter number 11. Can you believe it? We're almost there. Only 2 chapters left, so keep going, work hard, finish strong. All right, this is on page 440 in your book, page 440. We're going to be doing the introduction to solving equations. If you liked last chapter, maybe this will be another good chapter for you because it's more algebra. Okay, so this is kind of just a pre-algebra section in the book. So hopefully you're enjoying learning some algebra here. All right, let's go ahead and look down here, and we're going to be solving equations. What does that mean? Maybe for some of you this is a review. For others of you this is brand new material. So hang in there and let's see what we have to do. Now, the first thing it says here is this is done by getting the variable. What's the variable? The variable is the letter. So getting the letter alone on one side of the equation. This is called isolating the variable. When you isolate something, it means you take it out of kind of like the general population and you put it aside. You say, okay, it has to be over here by itself. This is you're going to put it in timeout, right? Maybe some of you had timeouts when you were younger. Maybe some of you still have timeouts. I don't know. But you're going to put that variable, that x, if you will, or whatever other variable it might be, in timeout. You're putting it all by itself. Okay? That's the goal. We want it to say x equals and then a number. So when we talk about this, we kind of liken this to the idea of a scale. The equation must stay balanced, or the scale that we have has to stay balanced. In other words, we can't put a bunch of stuff on one side so it's really heavy over here and then just have not much over here. That's not going to work because that's not equal anymore, right? What does it mean when the scale is even? The scale's balanced. The scale is equal, right? So there's equal amount in each side, okay? That's what we're going for. That's what we want our equation to look like at the end. Notice what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So if you don't do that, that's when the equation gets unbalanced. You can see this equation over here is unbalanced. Okay, this is too heavy. We've done something wrong. So if I'm going to, let's just say, for example, if I'm going to add 5, let's go back up here to the balanced equation. So if I'm going to add 5 to this side, so I want to add 5 to this side. In order to get a balanced equation, what do I need to do to the other side? Well, I also have to add 5 to this side. Now, over here, what's happened is somebody added 5 to this side, and they didn't do anything to this side, and so it just went, okay? That's bad. This is a bad equation right here. We don't want that, okay? That's unbalanced. This is what we're looking for. So every time we add 5 to one side, we have to add 5 to the other side. Well, what about this? What if we subtract 5 from one side and we add 5 to the other side? Well, that's going to be way out of balance, right? So if we subtract 5 from one side, we have to subtract 5 from the other side. That is the key, the most important thing about algebra. If you can get this, like if you can just master this right here and say, okay, I'm locked in, I get it, I understand that, then the rest of algebra is not going to be that bad for you, because in the back of your mind, you're always going to be thinking, I have to keep this thing balanced. That's the key. I can't do anything that will unbalance this equation. All right, let's look down here at an equation. Let's just practice this. All right, so we have x plus 3 equals 12. Now, again, let's think about what are the goals. What am I looking for? First of all, I want to get x all by itself. I want to isolate the x. I want it to say x equals something. So you could almost say that this is going to be, we'll call this our letter side, and we'll call this our number side. Okay? Now, it doesn't have to be that. It could be, this side could be the number side, and this side could be the letter side. It doesn't matter which side is which. But since x is already over here, I'm going to call that the letter side in this one. Okay? So we're trying to get all of the numbers over there. So what should we do with this 3? We need to move that 3 over to the other side. Okay? Now, let's talk about one more thing. The equal sign is our balance. This is like it's balancing on this triangle right here, right? That's what the equal sign does. So if we go back up here to our balance, okay, remember this. This is like the equal sign right here. Okay? This is the thing that kind of balances it, that middle part. Okay? So if we subtract 5 from one side, we have to subtract 5 from the other side. So what does that look like in this? Again, we want to get this 3 over to the other side. Let me ask you a pretty simple question here. If I have 3 pencils, okay, in this hand, how do I get them over to the other hand? How do I take them out of this hand? If I have 3 in this hand, I have to subtract them from this hand. I have to delete them from this hand. I have to take them out of this hand, right? So the way that we do that is we say, okay, I'm going to subtract 3. So if I have 3 and I subtract 3, then this cancels out and I get 0 pencils in that hand. Okay? Well, that's what I'm looking for. I want to get 0 because I want x to be all by itself. I want to get rid of this. But if we look back up here at the balance, if we did it to one side, we must also do it to the other side. I need to subtract 3 over here because I got to keep that thing balanced. Okay? So this does cancel out and give me 0. So I'm left with x equals 12 minus 3 is 9. This is my answer. X equals 9. Now let me show you something pretty cool that we can do is we can take this 9 right here and we can substitute it back into the original equation. So we could say instead of x, we could say 9 plus 3 equals 12. Remember our balance right here? That means that both sides of these have to be the same. What's 9 plus 3? 9 plus 3 is 12 equals 12. That checks. We're good. We did it correctly. Again, I feel like you've seen this before. I'm kind of doing it really, really basic, just in case this is brand new to you, but some of you might be falling asleep right now, okay? And if you are, it's okay. I've got something else for you in just a second. So just hang in there. We're going to do something that maybe you haven't done before, or maybe that's hard for you in just a second. So before you can move anything, this is really important too in algebra. You will hear me say this a million times if you stay with me for algebra class. I always say this, do what you can do. Do what you can do, right here. Do what you can do. Before you move anything, do what you can do. What do I mean by that? Look at this one right here. So here's our balance, okay? And we have something over here, and we might say, well, let's just go ahead and move that over. And that's not a bad idea, but we also have something over here that we can solve. We know what -4 plus 14 is, okay? We just do the math right there. If I have -4 and add 14, I get 10. So x minus 6, because we didn't do anything to this side yet, equals 10. We just kind of cleaned this up a little bit. We did what we could do. We saw something over there, we're like, oh, we can do that. So do what you can do before you start moving things from side to side. Now, notice that we have a -6 over here. So if I have to have a -6, how do I get rid of -6? I have to add 6. That's going to cancel that side. But I can't just do that because now my equation is unbalanced. So I have to add 6 to the other side. And I end up with, there's my x equals 10 plus 6 is 16. If I take 16 and plug it in here, I end up with 16 minus 6 equals -4 plus 14. This gives me 10, and this gives me 10. So that checks out, and I know I have the right answer. All right, now let's jump down here to everybody's favorite word problems. Yeah, I mean, calm down. All right, calm down. I know you're excited, but calm down. Okay, you're not excited. Well, word problems can be students' worst nightmare. But if you can figure out some strategies of how to solve them, it can make them a whole lot easier for you, and it can really help you all the way through the rest of your math career. So, how to solve these. Number one, we want to do what's called read and represent. So we're going to read it, and then we're going to represent all the unknown. These steps are in your book. This is on page 441. So read and represent the unknown. So here's what I think with that one. I read it, and then I figure out, okay, what do I know, and what do I not know? What am I looking for? Okay. Number two, once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and write out basically an equation. Write your equation with the things that you don't know, and then you're going to solve your equation. You're just going to work through it, and then you're going to state your answer. You're going to say x equals 10, and then you're going to check your answer before you turn it in. Okay? So let's go ahead and think through these steps as we solve this problem. 7 increased by a number equals 16. What is the number? So we read it. Now we want to represent. In this step, we're looking for, okay, what is the variable? What's the x here? What are we missing? So 7 increased by a number. What is that, by a number? Well, this is by a number that we don't know, or else it would have said 7 increased by 3 or something like that. So this right here is our x. Okay, that is our x. Now, when you see a word like equals, that means equals. Okay, that's that simple. So there's x, there's equals. Let's look at this word, increased. What does increased mean? That means we're adding to it. So that's going to be an addition sign. And obviously this word means 7 because the word is 7. All right. And then this is not even a word. This is just negative 16. So negative 16. All right. Look what we have. We have a very colorful equation up there. So let's go ahead and rewrite that equation. 7 plus x equals negative 16. Okay, and so now we've done this right here, the right portion, and now we want to solve this. How do we solve it? Well, we solve it by getting the letters on one side and the numbers on the other side. Now this looks a little bit different this time. We have 7 plus, but if you remember, like if we have 3 plus 7, that's really the same as 7 plus 3, right? There's no difference there. Okay, so we could do the same thing right here if you want to. We could say x plus 7 equals negative 16. We haven't changed anything. We just reordered it to make it a little bit more kind of fit what we've been doing. So then we would go, okay, if I have 7 over here, I need to subtract 7. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So that will cancel, and we'll end up with x equals this right here. How do you do that? So negative, negative, we're going to add because we have two negatives. So we're going to end up with 23, negative 23. Negative 23 would be our answer. So basically that number that we were looking for, 7 increased by negative 23, is 16. So if you think about it, if I have 7 and I increase it by a negative 23, technically I'm decreasing it, right? Because I had 7 and I'm adding a negative number, so it's actually going down. And so if I do that, I come up with my negative 16. So it does check, it does work. All right, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Hopefully you learned something there. Maybe you already knew it, so it's review for you. Great. Work on these, review these. Maybe you love word problems, probably you don't. So work on those word problems there in that lesson. Try to figure those out, follow those little steps that I gave you, and I think you'll be fine. All right, well, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Hopefully you learned something. If you missed anything, be sure to slide that thing back there and check it out again. And work hard on this, and I think you'll be fine. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.